Welcome to Friar Time. I'm Father David, and today we are diving into a topic that touches every single one of us, from the moment we wake up and check our phones to how we work, how we pray, and even how we rest. Technology is changing the world at lightning speed. But is it changing us for the better, or are we losing something along the way? This is Friar Time, so let's start talking. Today we have with us Father Kevin Mullen, who has been a guest on Friar Time before. Kevin is a Franciscan friar and a priest who is also a Doctor of Moral Theology here at Siena College in Albany area, New York. So, Kevin, technology, blessing or burden?
Both.
Both and.
Both and, the
Very
famous
Catholic.
Catholic answer.
Catholic
That's
answer,
right, yeah.
yes. So, do you think technology has made the world better or just maybe faster and more distracted?
Well, I would take all three descriptors
Uh,
and say that they're accurate. I really do believe overall, much better.
uh,
And we've seen that in all kinds of fields. But also, there's the challenges that come with it.
mm,
And I like your last adjective, distracted. It can distract us from the human elements.
right. So, actually, like from the smartphones that everybody carries, I forget how many billion there are, to AI,
Yep.
we're more connected, I guess, than ever, or are we more isolated than we've ever been?
And again, you see evidence of both of those features. One of the great things of living on a college campus is of watching students, which is repeated in cities and in rural areas where people walk staring at their phone.
Right.
And life is going on around them, and they seem not to be engaged in life. They're engaged in their phone. That's a problem. But I think if our phone can help us open up our eyes to see the world and to see one another, then we're on to the better dimensions of this.
I can recall not just once, numerous times, seeing, let's say, a couple at a table, and instead of talking, they're both scrolling on their phones.
Yeah, I mean, you see that in restaurants, and you say,
Yeah,
"Why'd you go out?
exactly.
Why
I
spend the
mean,
money? Why have this nice setting? And all the things that go with it, and you're checking your email. So yeah, that's problematic.
yeah. So when it comes to this kind of connection we're talking about, there's one place where I would say emotions run high and deep, and that's social media. Social media gives everyone a voice, everyone. And it's also made us louder and angrier, and maybe more compassionate, understanding. It's like a combination of everything here.
Yeah, I remember the advice I was given close to 20 years ago when I was the president at Siena College, and the information technology officer came in. And I was all excited about getting on social media because people who were leading colleges, businesses, were always online and always leaving these little quick messages and things. And so I said, "Can you teach me how to do that?" And he looked right at me and said, "No." And I said, "Well, why not?" He said, "It'll only get you in trouble." And he said, "Let me do it for you." And from that point on, I found in a lot of different management positions I've held or a leadership position, I've had the IT department do my upfront.
Uh,
And I have stayed away from not out of fear, but just it was one of those things. Okay, I didn't have to know it,
yeah,
and I'll let somebody else do it for me. At the same time, you can't live this life without hearing of the challenges and the difficulty, some of the harm that is done, especially to young people.
right.
And I think of adolescents oftentimes as they're developing their sense of identity and who they are, the shaming that can take place, the bullying. Uh, it can really distort that. At the same time, it opens up vistas for you of knowledge
Right.
at your fingertips that no one ever had. So it's all coming down, I think we're going to say in the end, to human responsibility
Uh,
and to how do we continue to be responsible.
so technology, as you're mentioning, is not only a social force, however. It's also transforming how we even solve problems.
Absolutely.
So, like, in what ways do you think technology is lifting people kind of maybe out of poverty, or like you mentioned, expanding access to healthcare or education opportunities? And are we also doing enough to ensure that it's reaching those on the margins?
I was often surprised when many years ago I was studying in the area of medical ethics to find out the number one killer of people throughout the world was dysentery as a result of impure water. I was expecting an exotic disease or something, but it really was the lack of access to clean water. Technology has helped us to overcome that.
Hmm.
The sad thing is that that technology that we have has not been shared with developing nations and not been shared where it's needed the most in these undeveloped parts of our world. So we have the know-how. It's the application of it. It's the use of it. And then sadly, there's too many cases of this. We see how people weaponize,
Yeah.
if you can use that term, or use this as a political power tool to extract something from other people. Very dangerous, very difficult, and manipulative
Right.
as it comes out.
Now, one of the biggest concerns today is, as you mentioned before, how is all this shaping future generations? So, how is, let's say, constant screen time on this? They talk about people, in bed just kind of scrolling. So, the screen time, this online life, how would you say it's shaping, let's say, the next generation's attention span, mental health, and ability to form real, honest, face to face relationships without this in the middle of it?
I think one of the things that perhaps has caught the generation coming up and the younger generation is the lack of mentors in this area,
Yeah.
because the previous generations did not have to deal with it to that degree. But I think we're reaching a point now where there are abilities to look to others that we would admire, we'd try and take advice from, and to see how do they go about doing it. And what I see is more and more people trying to establish a balance and recognizing parents who perhaps say, dinner time, our phones are put away.
Right.
Just like perhaps when we were growing up, there was no TV while we were eating.
Right.
Or
Right.
we had to be counseled in that and to be taught the power of dialogue and conversational meal. I think in this area with technology, that is beginning to happen more and more, and I think we need it. We need the guides and the you can call them the road guides and barriers to kind of keep us in the middle lane.
Right.
Yeah,
Which is not really what we have.
it's not. No, it's a kind of a free for all.
Right.
It's
It
wild,
seems
wild
like it.
west time.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, you can see, I remember being in an Apple store and seeing 3 and 4-year-olds at this table doing, working with iPads. And it almost came like naturally. It's instinctive to them.
Exactly, and they're not afraid of it.
No, they're not afraid at all.
Not afraid of it at all.
So that brings me to then, so what's our future? I mean, what happens to our humanity when machines start making human decisions? So, and that, of course, brings up something Pope Leo talks about, AI,
Yeah.
artificial intelligence. Is that moving too quickly for us? It's a lot of questions around.
I'm really fascinated that in his first week as the Pope, he brought up the example of AI as a major area that he would like to work on and apply the Catholic social teaching to. I welcome that because I think it's something very real. It's something that people are going to need, and to see the guidance. But it also showed he was open to it. It was not a condemnation. It was not anathema sit
Right.
to have AI. No, rather responsible use. And I think, based on his past, he'll bring together experts. He'll bring together men and women of goodwill who use this and to provide guidance both to him and then to all of us. Because I think it's a co-learning that takes place. It's not,
Right.
we're not waiting for him to learn and tell us. We need to engage the issue ourselves and to be part of it. But to answer your original question, I'm hopeful. I am hopeful that with other types of technology, we can continue to have the human balance. Recently, I was reading something on AI that pointed out never forget we created it
Right.
and don't let it create you. And that was kind of the advice of it. And it wasn't calling to be masters or lords over it, but recognize the relationship and try and keep it in balance.
And that's what's going to be the tricky part.
Absolutely.
Now, especially on the fact that I remember I saw this document. Somebody had sent me a document, and I thought there's something about this. So I actually cut and pasted it and put it into AI and asked AI if this was an AI generated document, and it said yes, it is.
And it was able to,
Yeah, and so it was able to evaluate itself.
yeah, yeah.
I mean, it comes to a point where it can get a little scary.
Oh, it can. I can just say this is just one person's experience. I was so fearful when I came back to teach. I was learning a new computer platform and delivery that for assignments and for exams, I struggled. How can I ensure that the student is not online on their phone when I'm sitting up at the desk and I don't see this? And, am I getting a pure evaluation of the
Yeah,
student?
yeah.
And so I reverted to phones off, computers closed, longhand writing in blue books. They had to go dig blue books out for me. They said, no one uses this anymore. I said, well, the dinosaur's gone. I'm going to try it. I did that for 2 sessions till I almost lost my eyes because I couldn't read
They're
they
writing.
weren't taught how to write cursive.
Right.
And even what they wrote, I couldn't read. So the solution, though, was more technology. I went to the IT department and they said, oh, during your exam time, we can just block out the internet from your room. They can't get on it.
Okay.
And they came in and showed me how to do this. And the student said, yeah, everybody else does that. Of course, they didn't tell me, being good students. But there was a solution. For an
Right.
hour, they were blocked out of the internet. I didn't worry about the AI. Now, I bet one of them could figure out how to break through,
Yeah.
but you can't, you lose your
Right.
sleep over that.
Exactly. Yeah, you go crazy with
Yeah,
that. Yeah,
yeah.
exactly. So let's bring it closer to home now. So can faith and technology, you think, walk side by side? Can they coexist or even collaborate, like we're talking about with Pope Leo? So what role do you see the church, faith communities, what would they have in play? In what play will they have in shaping this
Oh,
technology?
I think a great role to play in this because they will always remind us of the human element. When I try and teach ethics in medicine and science, it's always look for the human element and not to forget your humanity.
Uh,
Keep it focused there. And so we have something to contribute to this dialogue. And it is responsible usage. It's bringing out the tradition of virtue that we have and integrity and honesty, uh, and of using something in its right order. Now, it's determining what is that right order and who establishes that. Uh, again, models and examples from history. If you go back in and look at the development of the atomic energy, and we recognize that sadly that was done around wartime,
right.
and that the famous Manhattan Project and the recent movie Oppenheimer highlighted those types of dimensions. The scientists that were involved began to recognize more and more the human development and the concern of unleashing this energy, this power, and in that sense, a destructive force upon the world. They had a better idea than anyone because they were aware of what it was. And they proposed things that some of us never heard before. Test runs. Show your opponent this is what could happen if we unleash this. The counter argument was if we show our opponent, then we're not surprising them.
Right.
And then we lose the upper hand. And so those are human questions back and forth, not just technological ones. Sadly, I mean, we did elect to use the bomb. Sadly, I say, not because it ended the war, but that it unleashed and did such destruction to human life. And again, morally, we followed up with a second dropping, which under the just war theory that the church has always existed under, never passed muster. And that's very controversial. It's hurtful for some people to hear that,
Right.
but that is the truth of the Catholic tradition. Did not at the time stand and oppose where perhaps it should have. But it too was caught off guard.
Right.
No one knew what this new power and force was. So the examples are there in history, and you want to really spend some time reflecting on them and what might have been done better. I can think of no better forum than to have dialogues like we're having, organizing them in parishes, let people share their views, uh, and drawing upon something Pope Francis did so well for us. Be a synodal church. Be a group who listens to the experience first of others before we pronounce judgment. And I think that in and of itself puts us on a road that will help us to this responsible usage.
So, for example, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think most of us believe that the just war theory in the church that the church had. My understanding is that that's no longer valid when you talk about nuclear war now.
Generally, in nuclear war, absolutely.
So, so that's a theology, as you're saying. It seems like that kind of had to grow up around World War II.
Correct.
So the church is reacting with some sort of theological dialogue there. So now, what about this? So, for example, Pope Francis has spoken about digital mercy. So, do we have any sort of a foundational belief about AI, let's say, or about technology, aside from the fact of use it for a good purpose?
Right.
What's our more concrete belief about this, or do we have it?
I think one of the we have is it is never more important than the human.
Mhm.
Don't fall into that great trap and that temptation to elevate a thing before the dignity of a person. And that has happened again in our history, where we so pursue technology that and its growth and the wonder of it, the power of it, we forget the human.
Right.
So the church's role is always to call that attention to the human, and it goes back predates the Second Vatican Council, but in there's a famous passage. Why is the church involved at all in the human order? And it is to promote human rights, to defend human rights, and to advocate on behalf of the human. And here's the final part: to contribute a sense of meaning to all human activity. And that, in this concern about AI, is one of the great insights we can bring. Contribute what does it all mean, and where is it heading? And we're taking a stab at that. I don't believe we have a pre-established answer. I don't think Pope Leo does have a pre-established answer. I think he has bits and pieces and strong opinions, and I'm eager to hear them. But together, I'm confident we'll get there.
But you feel this is going to be based in the dignity of the human person,
Absolutely.
right?
As is all Catholic ethics.
Uh-huh.
Always to see that the dignity of the human person must be preeminent.
So let's end on a lighter or possibly a deeper note. If St. Francis was alive today, what would he say about how we use our devices, our screens, our attention? So, do you think he'd be on TikTok, or do you think he'd take this and throw it in the Tiber?
Yeah, I don't think he's going in the Tiber with it. I don't. Maybe a little concerned about how much it costs to get it. With this, but Francis was so practical, and he was down to earth, and he was human. So I'm seeing him going over to a friend's house and sitting down and playing with it a little bit, and getting to know what it is, and also then seeing the possibilities. Would this be something that would be sung in the canticle?
Mm-hmm.
This co-creation of the human. Would he see that as something, to be blessed and laudato si? And you know what? I'm going to say yeah. I'm going to say yes, he would.
Yes, he would. He'd have his own iPhone.
He would have his own.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Kevin, for being with us today. We are here at Siena College in Loudonville, New York, a fantastic Franciscan Catholic school. Investigate that. I think if you're looking for a place to go to school, this is it, let me tell you. Um, Kevin, you've given us an awful lot to think about, and we really appreciate that. So every time we pick up our phones now, I think we'll have a little bit of a little bit of a sense maybe behind our head about technology as a gift and as depending on the human being and the human dignity.
God
So
bless.
thank you very much for that.
Thank you.
The real question isn't just what is in our hands, it's what's in our heart. So, as Kevin is saying, let's use technology wisely, compassionately, and always as a tool for love and truth. I'm Father David. This has been Friar Time.